267 moon bears and sun bears have successfully been rescued by Animals Asia in Vietnam. More than 80% of the rescue cases involved families voluntarily handing over the bears. Animals Asia has built 2 modern investment centers that meet international standards. These significant accomplishments were made possible by Animal Asia's in Vietnam between 2006 and 2023.
Here they will find solace, love, and the freedom to heal and rediscover their natural instinct. So thank you everyone for joining us. You are the everyday heroes that make it all happen.
Just everybody joining together to see a Vietnam which is bear farm free but opens the doors for new collaboration into the future for protecting Vietnam's most incredible species of wild fauna and flora.
So I'm on my way to a bear rescue center in Tam Dao. Vietnam is trying to end bear bile farming by 2026, and this will hopefully be done with the support of animals welfare organizations like Animals Asia. Over its past 25 years in action, Animals Asia has received a lot of support from world public figures. And today, one of them is waiting for me. So let's join me to find out who she is.
Born in 1979 on the shores of Hawaii, USA, Margaret Denise Quigley, better known by her stage name Maggie Q, is an actress of American and Vietnamese descent. She gained fame for her role as Nikita in the television series of the same name, which aired from 2010 to 2013 on the American channel The CW. Additionally, she appeared in Mission Impossible 3 alongside Tom Cruise and in Live Free or Die Hard. Apart from being one of the most renowned Vietnamese actresses in Hollywood, Maggie Q is also an animal activist. She serves as a Goodwill Ambassador for Animals Asia and an ambassador for the Vietnam Bear Rescue Center.
And now you know who she is. Well, first of all, welcome to Talk Vietnam.
Thank you.
Maggie. How was your flight?
Long. But I'm here in one piece. Very happy to be here always for Animals Asia. Yeah.
Yeah, as you said, the purpose of your trip here is for Animals Asia. So tell me more about your collaboration with Animals Asia.
Well, I think that Animals Asia was probably the first charity that I fell in love with when I was living in Hong Kong. And I think that they've come such a long way in the years that I knew them when I was 20 years old till now. And I'm just really proud to be a part of what they do and how they do it. It's really, they're a great group of people.
So when did you first hear about Animals Asia?
It was for my 21st birthday. I was living in Hong Kong, and I remember that I wanted to raise money for them. So I collected money that night, and I gave it to Animals Asia anonymously. And it was interesting because I remember thinking that night how one person with a very specific idea can make a difference. Just one person. You know, it doesn't even need to be a big movement. It could be a tiny little thing at your birthday party where you raise some money and you give it away. And so I think that sparked in me something that started in nonprofit at that time.
Yeah. So you had a very consistent interest in, in animals' welfare. Tell me more about that.
Well, I love animals as it were, but I think the bigger picture, obviously, when it comes to animal welfare is more of a fundamental thing that I feel very strongly about. And that is, you know, we've done studies in the US about animal welfare and what it is to treat them with kindness and respect. And we have statistics now A person who treats animals with kindness is highly likely to treat people with kindness. And so that is the direct emotional correlation, and it has a much bigger societal effect as well. We find it definitely in the United States. We find that school shooters, domestic violence victims, and also people who murder, all of them have animal abuse in their past, 70 to 80% of them. So you have to understand that when I advocate for animals, I'm advocating for a better society, not just kindness towards animals. That obviously means a lot to me.
So in 2009, you came here to attend a grand opening.
Yes.
Yeah, of the first
Gosh, that
bear
was a long time ago, huh?
rescue center in Tam Dao.
Yeah.
And now you're going to witness the second grand opening.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So tell me more about, you know, what was it like in 2009 and what do you expect now?
Well, this was the first sanctuary in Vietnam, so this was a very big deal. With Animals Asia, one of the things that is important that they do, and also very costly and very time-consuming, is once these bears are rescued, rehabilitated, and brought back to health, you need to house them for the rest of their lives. So it's a massive effort. It's bigger than most animal efforts that I've seen in the world. You know, a lot of these animals, you know, they were caught in the wild at a very young age and put into cages immediately, so they don't have survival instincts the way an animal born and raised in the wild would. And so I don't think it's safe for them to go back into the wild. As you know, we have many of them that were in cages for 20 years, and you can imagine how traumatizing and painful that was for them. So really it's just about giving them the best life you can for the rest of their life. And you see it and it breaks your heart because it's a gift that you can't even imagine, you know, giving someone. I mean, if a person was locked in a room for 20 years, you can imagine how they would feel when they're released. Yeah.
So in 2009, did you adopt?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and the name of the bear, was it named after you?
I had a bear that they named after me because when I came to, when I came to open the sanctuary, the day before they had intercepted 2 babies that were being smuggled over the border. And so we were able to bring them to sanctuary and I got to meet them that morning. And it was a very special experience because these bears, as you know, are very big and very powerful, so you're never able to get near them. But as a young bear, I was able to hold them and have that connection with them. And then I think it was maybe 5 to 6 days later, no one could ever touch that bear again. So I was able to get into that window, you know, where I was able to experience that bear. And so, yes, I was able to adopt one of them, and then one of them they named after me. And she sadly is passed, but had a great life. And it was really funny because they told me that she was a favorite bear here, and she was also the naughtiest bear, which I was like, perfect.
Just like you.
Totally perfect, yeah. My namesake, yeah.
Yeah. And then you adopted another one, right?
Yes.
Called Phoenix.
Yeah.
So do you know the story of Phoenix and how she got here?
Yes.
Yeah, can you share with us?
Yes, we're talking about the 20-year captivity. It was a long time ago, and I remember they cut the lock of this cage that he had been in for 20 years. And I received that lock and I have it on my desk as a symbol of what we're doing here, you know, the freedom that's being, the freedom that's being provided to these animals. So it was a heartbreaking story, and it was a hard journey for that bear to be able to acclimate. And I remember when I first saw that bear, once he was brought to sanctuary, he wouldn't even leave the enclosure. He didn't know what freedom looked like. I mean, walking on grass, he would not come outside because he didn't know what that was.
Maggie Q is a goodwill ambassador for Animals Asia. She first set foot in Vietnam in 2009 as an ambassador for the Vietnam Bear Rescue Center. She attended the opening of Animals Asia's first semi-natural bear sanctuary in Tam Dao at that time, and sponsored a black bear named after her, Maggie.
We love Maggie. I mean, she's been with us for, I think, about 22 years now. She celebrated her birthday way back in around 2001. And instead of birthday gifts, she asked for people to give her money for Animals Asia. She's just what we call the real deal. You know, we absolutely love her because she has the deepest love and the deepest passion, not just for bears, but for so many animals, of course.
Well, we are very lucky to have Maggie Q as our ambassadors, for Animal Asia in Vietnam. It helps us so much in our raising awareness. So I think just by seeing that how enthusiastic she is, in trying to help us, then you can say that she's genuine, she's passionate, and she cares about the animals, and she cares about what we do. So it is part of her home here. So she always tell me that she would like to come home. It's a bonus to come home and able to see the bear.
"2023 marks Maggie's 4th visit at Tam Dao Bear Rescue Center. Accompanied by her 2 sisters, she witnessed the joy of moon bears and sun bears as they embraced their new life. She even ventured into the care area to feed the bears.
Phoenix, you are so wonderful. Good girl. Oh my God, you do love this. Honey. Yummy. Oh my God. She has really bright eyes, so alert. She's like, yes, yes. My love, here you go, my love. Okay.
She also joined to examine the bears. For Maggie Q, that is the happiness she hoped would come with her role as ambassador for the Vietnam Bear Rescue Center.
Now I want to talk about the importance of raising public's awareness about bear captivity and the efforts to end bear farming in Vietnam.
Yes.
How important do you think this issue is for Vietnam?
Well, as you know, the bear bile industry is, it's a very profitable business, and people from all over Asia, they call it medicine. You have to understand that a lot of these things are myths. There's someone's aunt told someone's uncle that this cures cancer, or someone said this will provide you health and vitality, and it absolutely won't, because we have doctors and scientists to back that there's nothing in these things that are beneficial for you. So the stopping the use of them is not going to hurt you. It's probably going to help you.
But changing someone's belief is extremely
Very tough,
difficult.
as you know, and generational. And so I think the key to this is educating young people, because young people influence their parents and their grandparents, and it's really up to that generation. These young kids now who know more than their parents did to say, hey, Mom, Dad, stop doing that, or Grandma, Grandpa, stop doing that. And that's really the only way. And I think that people do listen to young people now when they do educate the elder people on what the issues are. So I really, truly hope that they can lead the way on this, because we are trying to in our animal advocacy way, but I really do believe the younger generation has more compassion.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a special approach or method of spreading more awareness to people?
I think, and this is the way I kind of always viewed it, is that you just have to live by example, and that's really all you can do, right? If people become curious about what you care about, I think that's the best way to change people's minds. You can't force it on them. You can't tell people how to feel. You can't tell them to care about animals. You can't change them, by force. That's a tough thing to do. And I've been that person before. I did that in the early days, and it worked on some people, but more than that, I didn't like who I was. I didn't like the person who needed to make people believe what I believed. But if I could just live the way that I wanted to live and they were curious about it, then great. I'd love to share it with you. But I'm no longer going to do the thing where you're wrong and I'm right, because that's not the truth. The truth is, you may not know, and I may know more than you, and that's all it is. And so sometimes people will get the education when they get it, and they'll change when they're ready. And that's when real change actually sticks.
There are many people here in Asia are fan of you and your movies, and you do have an influence, you know, when you speak up and you spread the knowledge. So I want to ask you a little bit about your acting career in Hollywood. So how was it being an Asian, you know, American actress in Hollywood?
Well, it's changed, right? So when I entered Hollywood 20 years ago, it was very different than it is now. Now the opportunities for Asians are kind of endless, and people are more aware, and there's so many more opportunities, which makes me very happy. But when I got there, it was still, it was still
in 1999,
archaic, yes. So it's really interesting, the journey. But the journey has been what it's been for a reason. I was happy to fight that fight 20 years ago of being seen differently, and you know, what I did, I remember when I first got to Hollywood, was I wasn't taking the roles that were offered to me. I was fighting for roles that they weren't looking for me for, because I thought that's how you make change, right? That's how you change people's minds. You don't take what they give you.
What they give you?
Well, any stereotypical Asian role, you know, anything that did not further the image of Asians, did not give a better or more positive image of Asians, roles that just kept you in a box, you know, and didn't allow you to grow or be seen differently. And so there was a lot of no's that had to happen in my career before I started doing things that I actually wanted to do, that I thought would push and move Asians forward. I wasn't making decisions just for myself. I was making decisions for everyone who was trying to come up at any point behind me. And I thought that was important. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So Mission Impossible 3, and then Nikita.
Yes.
And so, you know, people love you, especially here,
thank
Asian
you. That's nice of you. That's really
So,
nice of you.
but you know, what you have been doing with Animals Asia and your interest in animals welfare set you different.
Oh,
so,
thank you.
Yeah. So I want you maybe can you share a little bit more about that, and how have you leveraged your voice to fight for animals' rights?
Well, thank you for the question, because I think that I always liked to attach myself to issues that nobody was caring about. And so I think it's easy to jump on the bandwagon of things that are maybe topical for people. I see it a lot in the States, where celebrities will show up to charities and they don't care. Their heart is not into it. Like, as I said to you earlier, one of the reasons why the animal issue meant so much to me is because I was fighting for something bigger and more fundamental. I was fighting for the principle of being kind and showing respect to the lowest perceived being. And that meant that if you could respect something that you didn't have to respect, you would respect people much easier.
Today, Talk Vietnam, together with Hollywood actress Maggie Q and Jill Robinson, founder and CEO of Animals Asia, made a visit to their bear friend, who was adopted by Maggie and named after her in Vietnam in 2009. Maggie Q read poems dedicated to this bear friend. She believes that the spirits of Maggie the bear and over 60 other bears here have gone to heaven.
Dear Maggie, our precious one, your time upon this earth is done. So now we lay you to rest. You are the moon we love the best.
You know, your first impression when you first met Maggie.
Well, she was a little bear. I got very lucky because I was able to hold her and meet them together when the cubs came in. So they were being trafficked, and they were confiscated at a very young age. So they got here very small. You know, I remember the bears were this. Already, just them chewing on your finger was extremely painful.
So was she one of the first 3 little bears that was rescued?
One of the first. In fact, she taught us a lot as well, because about how bears climb trees. The tree protectors over in one of the houses, and she climbed about 12 meters high. It was amazing, and she just like sat there at the top of the tree.
like this.
Right.
And
exactly.
fun fact, when I was a kid, I was the champion tree climber.
Oh.
I would climb to the top and no one knew where I was, and I would just watch everybody and give everybody a heart attack. Literally exactly the same.
Wow.
Naughty and a tree climber.
So this is a special cemetery. And I want to ask you a question about, bears were rescued, nurtured here, and then passed away here. So what does it mean?
It means everything. It's a life that deserves respect as every other life deserves respect as we consider ourselves as a human species.
Right.
So we consider the bears as an individual and unique in every way and deserving of a final goodbye.
To be honest with you, before I came here and I learned about, the center, I thought that, the bears are kept here for a while and then they would be released, back to their nature. But now I understand that actually, most of them would stay here for the rest of their life.
They have to. They're on medication,
Right.
so you can't medicate a bear in the wild. So, because of the legacy of bear bar farming, that's what we've taken on for their 30-year lifespan.
The life they've lived, and then they get to rest here, and so it really is a full circle moment to come here and be able, and not even a sad moment, because Maggie, like a lot of these bears here, were the lucky ones, who were able to get a second chance, have that experience, and maybe leave us on Earth with a beautiful energy rather than one of suffering,
Yeah, so what do you think of your work with Animals Asia and, maybe other things you want to do in the future?
Well, I've been with them a really long time, and it's been very fulfilling. I work with a bunch of different charities in the U.S. as well, and so my interests vary across the board as far as who to support. But I do believe in loyalty too, and so I am very loyal to the groups that I've stuck with for a long time. But I'm always looking for ways to explore and to. I'm an entrepreneur in the States, so I have businesses in the U.S. And part of what I do in my businesses is that a percentage of all of our sales goes to charity. And so I fine-tune and pick the charities that I feel are doing the best work and putting the money where their mouth is, right? Into the animals or into the kids or whatever it is that we're supporting. And so that's another way that I can support Animals Asia and other organizations that I work with. Sometimes it's through advocacy, sometimes it's through your face and your voice, sometimes it's through your money, sometimes it's through a combination of those things. So it's about finding what is the most effective way that you can help and doing all of those things, really.
Yeah, amazing work you have done.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now I want to ask you about, part of your identity. Your mom is Vietnamese,
right,
and your father is American.
Yes.
So I think I read somewhere in an interview you said that your mom has a strong influence on you, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us more about that.
Well, I think for most people in a very typical nuclear family, the mother is very influential because that's where you get your nurturing and your food and your, a lot of the softer side of how a person lives and is raised. And so, I think that having an Asian mother is influential on you, on your Asian side. I have friends who have an Asian father and a white mother, and they're very white. They're very Western because the food they grew up eating was Western, the values their mom taught them was more Western. And so it's interesting how you can be the same mix as someone, but it's completely different.
I really want to know, how Vietnamese you are, like how, because, when I talk to my family members that, hey, I'm going to interview Maggie Q today, they get so excited.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And they really want to know, like, how much you relate to Vietnam.
Very much. I mean, the first time I came here, I was 13 or 14. So I've been coming here since then. And I've always felt a very special connection to this place, especially our relatives, because they're so kind and they're so loving and generous of spirit, And I think for myself and my sisters, we were very touched by our relatives here. And the heart of Vietnamese people, in general, is just so different, not the same as other places in the world. And I don't know how Vietnamese I am. My mom says that her kids are very Vietnamese because we're very family oriented. and family is very important to us. So I think that's a very Vietnamese value, whereas like on the American side, it's not so much of a value. And I'm generalizing, obviously, but for most Americans, you know, when you're 18 and you're gone, you know, you move out and it's over, right? But with Asians, it's not like that. So I think that the family values thing I definitely have, which is very Vietnamese.
So since 13, you've been visiting Vietnam many times, right? Have you witnessed the changes?
Oh my goodness, night and day.
Yeah.
It really is so different. I remember when I was, even before, well, no, after that trip, I went and I remember I shot a commercial in Da Nang when I was 19. And I remember Da Nang at 19 and how it was. And then I recently did a movie where we featured Vietnam in the film, and we had to come here to shoot city shots of Da Nang, and my God, it's not even the same city. It's completely the same. It wasn't a city when I was 19, and now it's a world-class city with high-rises and everything that they never had before. It's remarkable. You know, the Vietnamese have always been so resilient, and nothing's going to stop this culture. They're going to keep growing, and success is going to continue, and they're going to, you know, always come out of it in a way that's benefits this country.
So, I mean, I'm curious, your commitment and support for Animals Asia in Vietnam, does it relate, you know, to maybe your bond to Vietnam?
For sure. I mean, I also, one of the reasons why I'm here advocating for this is because I believe that people, when they know, they'll care. I really do, you know, and even with the rhino issue, all of that, I just believe that people don't know. I want to believe in the best in people. And I know that Vietnam is very progressive, it's growing, things change so quickly here. And when they want to change, they will change, and it will happen very fast. And so, you know, with the government support, with everything that we're doing here, I really do feel that we can make a big difference. And we have had amazing support with the government in Vietnam, and it's meant a lot to us because, you know, I think for Vietnam, this is just my personal opinion, it's really great for their image to do the things, make the compassionate choices.
And I'd like to extend a very, very warm welcome to all of our distinguished guests here today to witness another historic chapter in Vietnam, together with collaboration with the government, that will see the end of bear bar farming.
It's an honor to be part of an organization that has dedicated itself to the rescue, rehabilitation, and protection of these magnificent animals. I have to say, I'm very proud that Vietnam has been the first country in the region to make this illegal, because I can't think of a better gift to the world and to the animals, and what a huge example that's going to be for the rest of the Asian region, and Vietnam is the leader in that.
These were the impactful speeches given by the special guests who attended the inauguration ceremony of Bear Rescue Center 2 at Bạch Mã National Park in Thừa Thiên Huế Province in November. The center has completed phase 1 of its construction, which includes general facilities, a hospital, a temporary quarantine area, and 2 double bear houses with 4 semi-natural enclosures covering 12.5 hectares. Since the first Vietnam Bear Rescue Center in Tam Dao National Park has been operating at full capacity, the project for the second Vietnam Bear Rescue Center was initiated in 2022. The Forest Protection Department is leading the project with funding of $10.5 million provided by Animals Asia as non-refundable aid for construction and operation.
Trung tâm này có tầm quan trọng rất là lớn bởi vì nó gần như là đại diện một cái khu vực ở miền Trung để có thể cứu hộ các cái cá thể gấu mà đang bị nuôi nhốt trái phép ở những cái với cái quy mô hiện tại thì khoảng 100 đến 120 cá thể, nhưng mà tương lai thì lên đến 250-300 cá thể. Thì điều đấy có thể góp phần chính yếu chấm dứt cái nạn nuôi gấu bất hợp pháp.
Dự án cứu hộ gấu Việt Nam cơ sở 2 này thì cũng đã hoàn thiện trong giai đoạn 1 rồi đấy. Thì với cái cơ sở vật chất hiện tại ở đây thì chúng tôi vẫn đang nuôi dưỡng 3 cá thể gấu đầu tiên và cũng sẵn sàng tiếp tục nhận thêm nhiều cá thể gấu nữa để mang lại cuộc sống tốt nhất cho những cá thể gấu được cứu hộ về đây.
The project has already rescued and received the first 3 bears from Hanoi: Armstrong and Buzz, the moon bears, and Apollo, the last captive bear from Haizong province. Here, the bears receive care and are provided with suitable conditions for physical recovery, freedom of movement, and foraging. The aim is to gradually restore their natural instincts that have been suppressed for a long time. This project showcases Vietnam's strong commitment to fulfilling international conventions related to biodiversity conservation and the conservation of wild animal species, in which Vietnam actively participates.
I also want to ask you, what do you think about the Vietnamese government's effort in ending bear farming?
Honestly, it's been remarkable. I can't say enough about the cooperation that's been so beneficial for us and what we're trying to do. And I'm so grateful that they've been able to see the vision and know that, okay, well, maybe this is good for us. The cooperation has been really a dream. We're very, very grateful to the Vietnamese government for helping us with this effort, because without their help, there's no way we could accomplish what we want to accomplish here. Yeah.
Any future plan that you can share with us?
Well, I have a new movie coming out next month, December 15th.
Okay.
Yeah, streaming on Apple.
Yeah.
So
what's the movie called?
It's called The Family Plan, and it's myself and Mark Wahlberg and Michelle Monaghan, an actress called Michelle Monaghan, who I did Mission Impossible with.
Okay.
So we've been friends for 20 years, and we're back together on screen.
You must be super busy now.
I've been busy. I'm very lucky, but I run businesses too. So it's been, with the charity work. So it's sort of like there's a lot of facets to life. But I find myself very blessed, though. Very blessed to have what I have and to be able to have a voice at all, to advocate for things that, because I could easily not have success, which would mean I don't have a voice, right? So I feel very fortunate to have any voice at all, and that anybody will listen to the messaging. I'm very grateful if they do.
Yeah, and it's beautiful how you use your voice.
Thank you. Well, and
advocate.
It's beautiful that you're allowing us on your show to do the
so
same. So thank you for seeing that, because it matters a lot.
Anything else that you think we can still do or improve in the way we communicate our message to change people's perception, or to find an alternative, like medicinal herb or whatever plants?
Yeah, well, the plant medicine world is so remarkable. And as Asians, we know this, right? This is like something that's been tradition for many, 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 many years, and centuries actually, especially even in China. So we understand that there are things that will help and work. But I think part of our messaging, which is harder to relay to people, is that the people selling you this, it's just a business. So, I've worked alongside with the Vietnam Cancer Institute on rhino horn. We work with doctors and scientists on the bear bile issue too, that will give you the science and show you that it does nothing for you, that we have proof that these things do nothing. And so to be able to move to an alternative source, I think it's just the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
The Animals Asia Foundation was founded by Dr. Jill Robinson, MBE, in 1998. In 2006, the organization started rescuing bears in Vietnam. To date, they have rescued and cared for 267 moon bears and sun bears in Vietnam.
The most proud is the fact that we have been working so collaboratively with the Vietnamese government over all this time, and because of that, and because of the cooperation with the traditional medicine authorities, because of the public support, and indeed because farmers are now joining us, we are seeing one of our founding goals achieved.
Tôi tin vào cách làm và sự chăm sóc tận tình, chu đáo của Tổ chức Động vật Châu Á trong công tác cứu hộ gấu. Vì thế tôi tự nguyện tặng lại toàn bộ 5 cá thể gấu cho nhà nước và trung tâm nuôi bảo tồn.
When we first started, way back in 2005, it was very difficult to engage people about bears and animals and welfare and even protecting wildlife. But you can see the changes, over the years, and even now, people know more about wildlife protection, people care more about the environment.
So I'm just deeply inspired by the great work that Animals Asia has done, but also this wonderful agreement that they have come to with the Vietnamese government to end bear bile farming in Vietnam by 2026. And a great tribute, I have to say, to the Vietnamese government and to this wonderful country.
Animals Asia collaborates with Vietnamese traditional medicine practitioners to promote the use of medicinal plants and herbs as alternatives to bear bile. They also establish herbal gardens to showcase these plants. In order to raise awareness about bear conservation, educational programs are conducted in schools to help students understand their role and responsibility in protecting bears and other animals.
It doesn't matter whether you're a big donor or a small donor, as long as you care. I think that's the most important thing, you know, and even if you can't give money, you can share on social media, you can share the message, you can talk about it, you can just inspire people, not just by giving. It's not all about giving money, it's about sharing the message and being kind.
If you can give advice to our viewers out there, and who I believe are students and young people.
First of all, number one, I would love them to understand their power, because they have a huge power and influence over their families, which is already a big deal and something we need badly. The other thing is understand the weight of the responsibility they have being on social media and the messages and things they send out. So I guess it's, my sisters and I were just talking about this morning, it's so tempting to just be vain and self-promoting. But these tools that we have now on the internet and social media can also be used for a lot of good. You can do so many things and talk and have a voice for the voiceless. I don't care if it's kids or women or people less fortunate than you or animals. You can actually use your voice on these platforms in a way that benefits so many people, not just yourself, right? So to be able to think about something that's bigger than you, that would be huge. Be proud of the way you look. Don't try to make yourself look different. Don't try to show an image of yourself that isn't actually real. Because again, what value does that add to your life, right? Just be yourself, because that's the best version. That's what you got. And I think that there's so many kids now on these platforms that are trying to look like someone else, or trying to do something different with their image or the way that people view them. But take it from me, it doesn't matter what people think. Who cares what people think? I think we need to stop with our obsession on how people view us and care more about how we view us. That'd be my last bit of advice.
After 20 years living in a tiny cage on a bear bile farm, Sunset is ready to step outside. As Sunset is blind and deaf, she is relying on her extraordinary sense of smell to take in her new world. Her carers drop tasty treats like jam to encourage her to step forward. The marks on Sunset's head are from where she repeatedly swayed her head against the bar on the farm. A common condition in captive animals, which signifies stress and trauma. It can take the bears a long time to step onto the grass as it's completely new texture. But eventually, the brave bear did it.
I think my last question is also Animals Asia slogan.
Yes.
The only cure is kindness.
It's so true.
And kindness in action.
Yeah.
What do you think?
But it's true in every, don't you think that's such a life lesson? If you think about any situation you're in, right? Whether you're having a fight with your sister or your boyfriend or what else is there but kindness? If you default to that, you will always be okay. Even if someone mistreats you, it doesn't mean that you have to act like them and do the same thing back. Treat them with kindness and just walk away. Because in the end, if you do that, you win.
Your commitment to animals' welfare, I think it's forever.
It is forever.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. And you're a vegetarian, right?
Yes, and have been for 20 years. And so, who knows if that will change in the future just because, you get older, your body changes, and sometimes you need to make changes as well. But I've believed for the most part for a long time, I just want to show, I just don't want to cause suffering if I don't have to. So that's kind of been my philosophy, if I can do it, I'm going to try. Yeah, if that was everyone's philosophy, imagine what the world would be like, right?
Yeah.
A nicer place.
I think so.
Yeah. Just try. We're
If
not
it
always
doesn't
going
work,
to be
it doesn't work.
successful, right?
Yeah.
But it's in the trying, I think, that makes the world different.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
The only cure is kindness, and kindness in action. That is the slogan of Animals Asia. So let's join hands with them to put kindness into action for animals' welfare. And I believe that Maggie Q pretty much agree with me on this. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Talk Vietnam from the Bear Rescue Center in Tam Dao. And until next time.